Notice something missing. Oh, the plastic blew away. There's a piece over there. Oh, I might have to get the drone out to find it all. Alright everyone, welcome back to ChickenHole Base. So it's been a couple of weeks since I planted the seeds in the greenhouse. As you can see, I've got a piece of plastic screwed under the front to seal it up. I've also duct taped over all the other holes. The idea there was mostly to increase realism and decrease the water loss. I've also got a thermometer here. There's the probe down underneath in the shade, measuring the air temperature. There's another thermometer in there, which is measuring the temperature inside the tank. Let's get the drill, unscrew that, and have a look inside. Okay, I've removed most of the screws, left a few in just for alignment purposes. Well, the bananas are still alive. That's good. Light's still in place. I was worried about that falling down. Let's see, is there any? Oh, that's dry. Yep, the lettuce dried out. There might be a few of them. I'm not sure if that is lettuce or not. Is that a turnip? That might be a turnip. The radishes are poking up. We got some radishes and the peas. It's definitely going to need some water though. It's dried out. This appears to have died, so we didn't get a full log of carbon dioxide, but the thermometers are still in place. It's a 10 degrees centigrade difference between inside and outside. Looks like we've developed a little puddle of water here. That's probably where all the water from the soil ended up. Condensed down and collected in the low spots. Looks like it's growing some algae. How's the bananas doing? Yeah, they're doing okay. Better than they were in my basement. Looks like there's a new pup coming up. Yeah, it occurs to me I didn't explain the bananas. These are some that I was growing last year and I managed to keep through the winter using artificial lights. The reason I'm doing bananas is, well, I'm a monkey and monkeys like bananas. I've always wanted to grow them. Never been able to. These are a dwarf banana variety. They're only supposed to get 6 or 8 feet tall, so they might even grow inside of this little tank. Although ultimately I want to have one of those big tanks turned up, maybe with another tank bolted to the top of it, and have like a 16-foot tall banana tower. Anyway, I've got some water here. Oh, look at that condensing water out of the air. Let's water everything. Give it a drink. Looks like we do have some arugula that managed to survive. This tree right here. This one I'm thinking I'm actually going to use as toilet paper. It is a tree, but it readily grows back from being cut down, so I can treat it like a bush. But these leaves, they're huge and they're soft. Plus it grows very quick. This is the Emperor Princess tree. It has the carbon pathway that's the same as grass, so it's more efficient at processing carbon from the air. So it'll be good for pulling down carbon, sequestering it into wood, but also the leaves, which I can use as toilet paper. And this is an avocado. This was an avocado that I just grew from a pit. I don't know if I'll end up growing that in the system, but I figured it would like the high humidity, so I brought it in. Anyway, that's all the plants. I need to get this some water. I should have came a few days earlier. See, it's wet down underneath, but the surface where the seeds were has dried up. So you might be able to tell there's one of the supports going across here, and then over here I guess the tank has sagged a little bit, maybe as it warmed up. It's created a depression that collects water. Might have to fix this. Maybe I'll go underneath, put a support directly under it, so I can push this up and support it so it doesn't sag down like this. So ideally, any water that gets in here would just run down to the sump. And even better would be most of the water ends up over here, just getting the plants watered again. In fact, I think that's why the arugula and the lettuce has survived over here. It's because the water runs down the sides of the tank. I guess that would keep this area wetter. What you got? A cricket? As you can see, I've upgraded to a newer Rover. Doesn't look like much, but it's about 10 years newer than the old one. A lot more things work on it. It can go faster. The old one could barely do 65 with a strong tailwind. This can do 80 with no problem. It's also got cruise control, air conditioning, and a working radio. I mean, what more could you want? Robo Cody has also received a few upgrades. His system is now more efficient, so he no longer requires such long antennas. So we've shortened the one on the top and removed the one on the front entirely. Second, as you can see, his case has been upgraded to reject heat better, to be more suited to this extremely hot weather we're having. So let's give an update on the little greenhouse here. First of all, I've had this piece of plastic screwed onto the front pretty much the whole time. Pretty much all the water I put in the system is still there. I estimate I only lost maybe 5 gallons in the 2 months that it's been up and running. So I've been bringing out some more plants. There's some there. I'll go show you guys those in a bit. But for starters, let's show you the plants that we planted in the last episode. So you can see the lettuce is actually not doing half bad. The arugula has bolted, it's got flowers. The peas did not handle the heat very well at all. Got to about 45 degrees Celsius, and that's too hot for peas. It's too hot for most plants. But the radish seemed to like it for some reason. Look at the size of that, it's like as big as a peach. I've stuck in a few tomatoes here. I'll probably remove those. And I got one kale to sprout. See that? None of the turnips grew. This is some potatoes. I figured you guys would want to see that, as this is a Martian style greenhouse. I was reluctant to bring them in because I knew they wouldn't do well. Potatoes don't like hot, humid conditions, which I had in here. But I do have them. They've grown flowers. There's probably some potatoes down in here. Yeah, there's a little one. It's not really big enough to harvest or anything, but yeah, it is growing. They don't like the heat at all. But once we get this cooled down, maybe we'll bring in some potatoes and grow them in the beds themselves. You can see most of the water ends up down in the low spots, and we knew it would. You can see the algae is kind of reddish colored to the stress of the heat. Here's a banana plant. I started with just the one little stalk, but that seems to have died. I guess the shock of moving into the greenhouse or something. Maybe the heat. But it has sprouted up a bunch of pups along the side, as you can see, and those are growing. They seem to be doing pretty well. This one I've removed the center stalk. But yeah, this tree, it's almost a meter tall now. And when I put it in here, it was like right there. You know, about 6 inches tall. So it's grown that much in a month. Isn't that crazy? I'll probably have to repot it. I believe what I'm going to do in this episode is fix this. I don't like this. Also, I've decided I don't like the buckets. I think we'll just add some more supports, make it stronger, so it can actually hold the full load of soil. That'll give it more water retention, more soil volume. Let's go get on that. Probably pull everything out of here so it's lighter, so we can lift it to put in the extra supports. Look at that. I will eat all of this. Arugula is so good. It's one of my favorites. And this radish did so well, I'm going to try to save the seeds from it. Okay, let's see if I can get it. That should be pretty easy. Even doing it one-handed. So, there's my radish. Dig this dirt out of here, probably throw it in the back of the truck. Yeah. So here's that mushroom mycelium that I put in here. It looks like it hasn't really spread at all, but it is still alive, I think. So maybe if I can cool things off, it'll take off and colonize. Alright, so there's the center keel done. Even did this back here. Haven't put the post in that goes there yet because I don't know quite what I'm going to do here. I kind of want to have a little door that opens up to access this space. And also, I've decided that I would like to have a support in the middle here. It's a pretty wide span. I was thinking, how about a barrel? Stick a barrel under here. That would provide structural support, but also thermal mass if I filled the barrel with water. I might even get 5 barrels in, you know. So over here, you can see the central beam is actually resting on top of this other tank. Now this other tank will be able to hold quite a bit of weight, but the plastic will deform over time, so I definitely need a support here, barrel or not. I'm also going to run this piece of structural pipe underneath of that. I might have to shave the wood a little bit to get it to fit. Just run it along there, pin a screw, cut it to the right length. That'll provide a little bit of rigidity here take a little bit of weight off of this tank. But before we get too carried away, I've noticed a problem. Look at this. Plastic is dented in on this post. So we need to lift this back up and put a better support, that goes the entire length here. So we have to take all of this apart so it can move freely. There we are. Cut that out, put this new one in. Wasn't too difficult. Had to use a little bit of crib and jacking to get the tank moved just a little bit to get it in there. Hopefully the plastic will kind of form back to its original shape. For a little bit of heat, a little bit of internal pressure would do just fine for that. Remember the compost? Well, here we are. It's been about 6 months. It has broken down quite a bit. Here's a piece of that cardboard I threw in there. You can see, still resembles cardboard, but it has, it's pretty much broken down. It's not quite done, but I think as long as I mix it with some other soil, it'll be okay. It's like half charcoal, so really what I've got is activated biochar here. So if I mix it in about 20% by volume, which is probably about what I have, that ought to be perfect for a garden. So what I have here is essentially all organic matter. There's very little in the way of mineral in it. I mean, the charcoal does help, but this really isn't a good mixture of soil. Fortunately, Robo Cody was kind enough to crush some of the rock for us. The wind is not good. Let's get that mixed in. So here we are. It's all mixed up. You can see little bits of rock in it. Almost looks like perlite and potting soil, which I guess is kind of similar to what that is. This rock here, it's a volcanic tuff, so it's fairly light and airy, just like perlite is, just not quite as much. That'll provide minerals that the plants will use, some trace elements, and it'll also help the water flow through the mixture more easily. It's basically like adding sand to it. So now, the problem is I don't have enough soil to fill the greenhouse. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got some more potting soil over there that I can mix in with it. Okay. So the dirt's in, at least all that I'm going to put in here for now. Notice the bees are really attracted to this in here. I was thinking maybe it'd be the water, but they've got water outside. They seem to be primarily attracted to this dirt here. As you can see, she's digging through it. Something they like. Anyway, I need to open this up and get down in there. You notice I took my pants off. And I'm gonna scoop out all the water, clean out all the algae, etc. Okay, there it is. Looks disgusting, doesn't it? I've got to get down in there and scoop it all out. Oh, it's like stepping into a hot tub. Look at that algae. Right, so I'm just loading the system with water. I got about 100 gallons. Just put it in. You can see I've run that pump up through a hole in the lid. Plug it in and see if that works. It should. I tested it before I came out here. Just run that pipe up and around. Alright, so here we are. Got all the plants and stuff in that I'm going to do for this episode. Unfortunately, we still have a puddle. You can see there. It's not nearly as deep. Like, I can walk through this without any trouble. Like, it doesn't even get my socks wet. But it'll also only be there temporarily. The idea is just to give a little bit of water to the potted plants here. Those don't need to be there permanently. So, you can see I've got some parsley. That's a pepper. I've even got some flowers in here. I think they smell nice. They look pretty. They're also a fairly good companion plant for tomatoes, I think. I even put a banana in here. Let's see what happens. Maybe it'll get too big and I'll have to cut it down. Yeah, over here I've also got some more parsley, some basil, even more parsley. I mentioned I like parsley. And there's tomato plants. As you can see, there's the type, this Roma right there. And all the tomatoes I have are the determinate varieties. They don't get as big. I believe this is even a dwarf version of a tomato plant, so it'll only get like right here. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Let's have a look on the outside here. You can see I wrapped this tank with a dark colored tarp. That's to keep the light out so it doesn't grow algae in there anymore. Having the algae plug up the filter on the pump. See, there's a little solar panel. It only gets a few hours of direct sunlight a day, but that's plenty. All I'm running is that little pump. It's like 50 watts. It's a 100-watt solar panel. And I've got it, the pump itself is running on this little mechanical timer. And it only comes on half an hour a day. I've got it set to come on at noon. And you see right there's the charge controller for the battery and the solar panel. Because the solar panel is actually putting out way more power than we need to run that little pump. Like I said, it's a 100-watt panel. Gets a few hours of sunlight a day. That's more than enough to run the 50-watt pump for half an hour. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Do a little bit of picking things up.